My brother's wedding was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. I had helped plan every detail, from the flower arrangements to the seating chart. My wife, Alina, had been by my side through all of it. Or at least I thought she had been. She looked stunning that evening, wearing a pale green dress with delicate silver embroidery, the same one I had complimented weeks ago in the store. She smiled at everyone, laughed at my jokes, and held my hand like everything was normal. Like everything was perfect. But then, halfway through the reception, while we were dancing under fairy lights and my brother and his bride were cutting the cake, she leaned in close to my ear and whispered something I'll never forget. "We have to leave. Now." Her tone wasn't playful, wasn't loving. It was low, tense, and urgent. It didn't match the music, the celebration, or the warmth around us. I pulled back and looked at her, confused. "What? Why?" I asked quietly. She didn't answer right away. She glanced over my shoulder, scanning the crowd. Her face lost its color. Her grip on my wrist tightened just slightly, not enough for others to notice, but enough for me to feel the panic pulsing through her fingers. "Alina," I said more firmly, trying to hide the worry in my voice. "What's going on?" She looked at me again, and this time, there was something behind her eyes, guilt, maybe, or fear. The kind of expression you don't fake. The kind that makes your stomach drop even before the truth is spoken. "I can't explain here," she said. "Please just trust me." That's when the music started to blur. My mind began racing. What could possibly be so urgent that she needed to leave her own brother-in-law's wedding? And why wouldn't she tell me? I looked around and noticed a man standing near the bar, holding a glass of wine. Tall, clean-shaven, dressed sharp. But it wasn't the way he looked that caught my attention. It was the way he was staring, right at Alina. Not casually. Not like a guest admiring someone. It was personal. Familiar. Like he knew something I didn't. Like he had known her before I ever did. "Alina, who is that?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just whispered again, "Please. Let's just go." But it was too late. The man started walking toward us. My wife's face went pale. Her hand dropped from mine. And something in that moment, something wordless, broke inside me. I had walked into that wedding proud, married, joyful, and now, just minutes later, I was watching my wife crumble without saying a single truth. The man stopped just a few feet away from us, and everything around us, the music, the laughter, the clinking of glasses, faded into background noise. Alina stood frozen beside me. Her body stiffened, like she'd forgotten how to breathe. I could feel my own pulse in my ears. He didn't look at me right away. His eyes were locked on hers. There was no hesitation in his expression, no surprise, no apology. Just that quiet, smug kind of knowing that made my blood run cold. "Alina," he said calmly, "you left without saying goodbye." That one sentence hit me harder than I can describe. I turned to her, but she didn't say a word. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. She couldn't even deny it. "Who is this?" I asked her, the edge creeping into my voice. "Alina, answer me." She finally looked at me, but her face said everything before her mouth did. Her eyes were wet, not from crying, but from the pressure of holding everything in. She wasn't ready to tell me, but the moment had already arrived. "I knew him before you," she said softly. "It was over. I swear it was over." The man let out a dry laugh. "Over? That's funny. You were at my place 3 weeks ago." My heart dropped. I stared at her, my mind scrambling to make sense of it. I wanted to believe she'd explain it away. Tell me this was a mistake, a misunderstanding, that she didn't know he would be here, that this wasn't what it looked like. But she didn't say any of those things. Instead, she looked down ashamed and whispered, "I didn't think he'd show up." That's when I realized this wasn't a random encounter. She had known he might come. She had been terrified of this exact moment. That's why she had tried to leave. Not because she wanted to protect me, but because she wanted to avoid the fallout. My brother's wedding, the day meant to be filled with celebration, had become the moment I found out my wife had been with another man just weeks ago. "I trusted you," I said, my voice cracking more than I wanted it to. "You smiled at me, you held my hand, you kissed me like nothing was wrong." Her tears came then, quiet and helpless. I was scared. I thought it was over. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, I said, barely above a whisper. You already did. Around us, no one else seemed to notice what was happening. The party went on. People laughed, danced, raised toasts to love and loyalty, while my marriage was falling apart in silence. I walked away without saying another word. I left her standing there, between me and a man I never should have had to meet. I didn't go back to the reception. I didn't go back to the table. I left the building, walked into the cold air outside, and let myself feel everything all at once. The betrayal, the humiliation, the loss, and beneath it all, the quiet truth that wouldn't go away. I would never see her the same again. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the guest room at my parents' house, the wedding music still faint in my ears like a cruel echo. I stared at the ceiling for hours, trying to piece together what I had missed, what I had ignored. How many times had she looked me in the eye while carrying that secret? How many I love yous had come from a place already shared with someone else? And still, a part of me wanted to forgive her. Not because she deserved it, but because I didn't want my life to fall apart. I didn't want to accept that the woman I had built memories with, the woman I had once believed in, wasn't who I thought she was anymore. In the morning, she texted me, "Please, can we talk? I made a mistake." I panicked. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't reply right away. I read it again and again, looking for something that felt real, something that proved I wasn't crazy to still feel something. But the words rang hollow, because it had gone too far. Because the truth wasn't in her apology, it was in the fear on her face when that man walked up to us. The fear of getting caught. Later that day, I met her at our apartment. It still smelled like her perfume, like fresh laundry, like a life that now felt borrowed. She was sitting on the couch, her face tired, makeup smudged from crying. She stood when I walked in, but I didn't hug her. I couldn't. "Just tell me the truth," I said quietly. She nodded, wiping her face. It wasn't ongoing. It was once. I felt lost. I don't even know why I did it. He just reminded me of something I thought I missed. But I didn't realize what I had until I almost lost it. I looked around the room. Our wedding photo on the wall, the throw blanket she picked, the fridge covered in sticky notes and takeout coupons. The pieces of a life that felt so real. But none of them meant anything now. Because trust, once broken, doesn't fit back together clean. "I don't hate you," I said. "But I can't stay." Her shoulders slumped like I had just ended her world. Maybe I had. But I wasn't going to let her drag me through the same pain again just because she was sorry. "I'll move out," I added. "I've already spoken to a lawyer. We'll do this quietly." She covered her mouth and nodded, unable to look at me. She didn't beg. She didn't yell. She just stood there, holding herself together as I turned to leave. I paused at the door, looked back once and said, "You could have told me. Before you crossed the line. You could have just told me." And then I walked out. No door slam. No dramatic exit. Just silence. And the weight of a goodbye I never thought I'd have to say. That night, I drove with the windows down, letting the wind blur everything I couldn't say. I didn't cry. Not then. But somewhere between the highway and the empty road home, I started to feel something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not because everything made sense, but because I had finally stopped pretending it did.